Today's video is sponsored by Squarespace. Hello, it's been about a month. I'm very sorry about that, but today's a really exciting video. I recently took a trip out to the Outer Banks in North Carolina. It was 3 days of non-stop sunrises and sunsets, just taking a ton of photos, and I'm actually very excited about how some of them turned out. So today's video is a little bit of a recap of those 3 days. I'm gonna show you the photos I took, show you some of the clips, and it should just be a good old school video like I used to make on the channel. So believe it or not, this incredible trip of beautiful golden weather started on one of the rainiest days that I've seen in a long time. We drove about 7 hours from New Jersey to the Outer Banks. So when we got to the Outer Banks, the first thing we did was we headed out to the beach to just get an idea of the scenery and maybe get an idea for where we wanted to go for sunrise in the morning. It was this really stormy evening, and I personally love the look of this really moody weather on a beach. So that was our first night. It wasn't very eventful, but it was cool to sort of scope out everything. And the next morning we woke up at probably 5 o'clock for the first sunrise.
It was so awesome.
Prior to this trip, I was not somebody who would have gotten up this early in the morning for some photos, but this trip definitely changed that for me. We headed up to a town called Kerala, and I believe the only way to get there is by driving on the beach, which was really cool. I'd never done anything like this before. We took this Jeep, and the only road going up the northern part of the island is a beach road, so you basically have to have some kind of 4x4 to get to these houses, which is kind of crazy, but it definitely made for some really interesting scenes because there just wasn't any road anywhere. You can pretty much hear our reaction when we saw this first spot. The light had just come through and we found this beautiful water tower sitting over the dunes. We all hopped out of the car and I took quite a few photos here. It's funny how this is just a water tower, but somehow everybody in the car got really excited when we saw this. It was just the first bit of golden light that day, and this really interesting looking water tower just in the middle of some sand. I don't know, I'd never seen anything like it, and I think the light was really beautiful, so I took quite a few photos here. The reason we were going up to this town north in the island was because we heard rumors that there were wild horses there. And to our surprise, we actually did come across some wild horses on the beach, which was incredible. I'd never seen anything like this before. And to just see a horse in the wild in such a strange environment was really cool. It definitely wasn't the National Geographic style picture of horses running across the beach at sunrise that I had in mind, but yeah, I think it was really special to see just a horse roaming around the beach, eating some grass, chilling, having a good time. I gotta say, this was quite a way to start off the trip with a couple photos that I was really excited about. This just set a good tone for the rest of the trip, and driving on the beach like that was just an experience that I've never had before. So thank you, Peter, whose Jeep it was. Thank you for showing us around there. That was amazing. We headed back to the house that we were staying at and just crashed and got some sleep after that. The evening of the first day wasn't incredibly eventful. We drove around, snapped a couple photos of just some things in the town itself. And when it was time for sunset, we sort of just scrambled to the first beach that we saw, and I photographed a lot of these. I think they're called sea oats actually, and they just look amazing along the sunset. I like how the wispy clouds kind of complement the sea oats. So that was the first day. It was incredibly fun, and we got an early night of rest because we were going to get up for sunrise again the next morning. On the morning of the second day, we headed out to this old abandoned, I think it's a Coast Guard station that's on the beach. There's again no roads going to it, so it looks incredible, just surrounded by sand. And I snapped a photo of this sort of at blue hour still. The sun hadn't quite risen yet, but in the windows there's this really nice reflection of sort of the sun about to rise. I think it's a very specific moment of time every day that you have to get a photo like this, and I think it has this really nice contrast between the golden windows and sort of the blue dark sky around it. So the sun did come out. It looked really beautiful. I think instead of just photographing the dunes, I was sort of looking for a little bit more of the textures, I guess you could say. Yeah, some footsteps, some shells. One One of the craziest things that happened on this trip, this has never happened to me before. I don't know what the chance of this happening is, but a bird flew across the sky and dropped a fish right in front of my feet. I'd never seen anything like it. I thought I was dreaming when this fish just came falling from the sky, but I had to take a photo of this, and it's sort of this dark photo with this bright fish in the middle. I think the story is cooler than the photo, but yeah, what a wild experience that was, just seeing a fish fall from the sky. During the day, we basically ate some food, slept, and then headed back out for sunset. For sunset, we walked around this park that was in the northern area of the Outer Banks, and I was really excited to just be around a lot of greenery again. I think definitely being on the West Coast, there's not as much greens out here, so when I was back there on the East, I was really excited to shoot some photos of just very green greens. This park really didn't have anything too crazy. It was just some beautiful trees, a nice bridge, some water, and there was even a very pretty lighthouse in the distance.
Yeah, throw it one.
Right after sunset, we headed across the road where we snuck into this hotel. I don't know if it was really sneaking in, but we definitely weren't supposed to be there. We walked up to the hotel's pool really quickly, grabbed a couple photos, and we left. It just looked really nice in this blue hour light with some of that pink gradient left in the sky. And yeah, there's nothing like a good pool with some nice umbrellas. So that was our second night. Pretty good. I think that was a very successful day again. And tomorrow's day 3, our final sunrise. So we headed in for the night to get some sleep. The next morning we woke up for sunrise, and our plan was to go out to the same fishing pier that we visited on the very first day, where it was sort of cloudy. When we got to the actual fishing pier though, it was locked. So we were just trying to make the best of the situation, and we basically just photographed the beach and underneath the pier at sunrise. And it turned out to be one of the most incredible sunrises that I've ever seen. Just perfect colors, beautiful water, and I feel like this is what the Outer Banks was all about. I spent quite a bit of time making some long exposures under the pier with my tripod. I think there was just this really nice gradient of color happening in the sky, and I love the way that the legs of the pier divided the sky into different shapes. There was also this light coming up from above on top of the pier that was casting through it, and overall this was a very cool scene. I think I love the way this turned out, especially that silky water with the long exposure. This is my third sunrise in a row now. The first one was brutal, second one was all right, and this one, waking up was actually very easy. So I feel like this is definitely something I'm gonna keep doing, especially because you just get double the amount of golden light per day. fishing pier actually opened up shortly after sunrise, which was great because we did get the chance to go up there. There were some fishermen, and this was beautiful golden light with just a ton of birds flying around. I really enjoyed this spot. I've never done this before, but every single photo in this video was a darkroom print. This took me 2 days of darkroom printing and then a whole day of scanning all those prints and editing them to look like the actual prints. I don't think darkroom printing in itself makes a photo any better, but it is just a process that I've been really enjoying, and I personally just love the colors that I can get out of a darkroom print. So that was a very fun thing to do. I don't think I'm going to do that for every video going forward because A, it costs a shit ton of money. I don't think I'm going to do that for every video going forward because A, it costs a ton of money, and B, it just takes up way too much time to realistically do it for every video. But I think it made the photos look just a little bit nicer. Let me know what you thought of the video. Let me know what you thought of the photos. I'm sorry I've been gone for a little bit. I do have another video coming out in 2 days or 3 days, depending on when this one goes up. Huge shout out to David Loker for the accommodation for this trip and for showing us around the Outer Banks. This trip would not have been what it was without him. He's also just an incredible photographer. I'll have his Instagram, as well as everybody else who was on the trip with us, in the description. Some really cool photographers and some great friends. So a huge thank you. And finally, thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Squarespace is an incredible all-in-one website building platform that you can use for your next video project. I've been using Squarespace for over 3 years at this point, and they've made it so incredibly easy to get a website up and running with my photography. If that sounds like something you're interested in, you can hit the link in my description for a 14-day free trial of Squarespace, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/Willem for 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in a couple days with another video. Peace.